So we could maybe ask James
Great.
to have a third opinion. What do you use in addition? We were discussing a little bit whether your own website is necessary, a WordPress or other blog, if Moodle is an option, and the latest was wikis, and what we think about that. What do you use with your
Um,
students?
with my students, I've just basically it's almost like it's got two different components. There's my blog and my website, and I mean I guess it's getting probably like something like 50,000 visitors a month. Um, and for the vast majority of people who show up on the website, I'll never see or talk to. Very, very, very small percentage of those people I'll talk to. It's sort of like an online resource for my subject. I tutor organic chemistry, so make that a little bit more clear. And then I've got a tutoring business, which is sort of like prominent when you show up on the front page. It's like one of the headers is like online organic chemistry tutoring. And so students who find useful information on the site, they get drawn in by, 80% of my views are through organic search. So they get drawn into the site, they see online organic chemistry tutoring, and then they, oh, that sounds interesting, I need that. And then they find a page where they can contact me, and then they contact me through email or a Wufoo form or whatever. And so I find actually that most of the people I talk to never read my blog. But
I discovered somewhat the same, that the people who consume my free video lessons and blog articles around German will almost never become paying students, and the paying students don't care about the free materials.
that's really interesting. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think motivation is such a huge issue with students, and I'm not sure. I don't totally understand the factors that lead some students to, like I said, just read. If they could consume it by themselves, and like if they're self-directed learners, then they're probably going to get all the information they need from the blog. But if they don't know what they don't know, they need to talk to someone in person, and that's sort of where the tutoring comes in. I guess.
And I also feel they have always, not really, let's say directly, but they have always argued they pay, let's say, for 30 minutes or an hour, and they have me in person. So like for them, only for them, they get the best quality or everything I have to say and teach, so they don't need the other stuff. It's for them. It seems to be a little bit of less quality, as they have to share it with others, whereas private lessons are somewhat the ultimate tailored experience.
Hmm. Yes.
James, I'm sorry. The tutoring service does that also reside in your
No, I do
WordPress
it all through Skype.
blog? Is it a separate
I do it all
service?
through Skype.
I'm sorry.
Um, so
Oh, okay.
I haven't found just the fact is that everyone, almost everyone knows how to use Skype, and trying to introduce students to new technology is, something that there's always going to be a barrier to that, and I kind of want to remove as many barriers as possible. Um, so
And do you tutor one-on-one or
one-on-one
is it
for
group?
now, but I'd be really interested in hearing of anyone who has any experience in working with groups online, like for one-to-many or type tutoring experiences, or even things like webinars. Not sure if anyone's tried doing things like that, but that's something that I'd certainly be more interested in doing in the future.
Like a
Like a
Google
Google
Hangout?
Hangout, exactly. I've never done a Google Hangout before. This is my very, very first one. So
I think
Andre, have
George
you
has a
ever?
lot of experience with
Oh.
groups.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, and I wanted to ask you, I think George has, and I can say a little bit about that as well, but I think George is the expert.
Far from expert, but I've been in the muck of it quite a bit, and it has been a very surprising learning curve. Certainly at my age, I've been around the block more than once, and I think that one of the things, at least in my experience, due to a very diverse background particularly in coaching and training between the military, church groups, and very diverse groups. It enabled me uniquely to be able to be more flexible within this environment. I think that it's surprisingly different, but yet still very enabling for group dynamics. Now, I can't quite, other than this touchy-feely talk, I can't quite explain that in a concise or academic manner, but it's certainly worthy of its own discussions and relooking at almost the entire dynamic of what constitutes a group dynamic for education when you're talking about online learning. I think I'm done.
I found that in language teaching, the group experience as I tried to explain this last time, but both on Skype, here on the Google Plus Hangouts, I mean, it works pretty well, and I think technology is getting better. But as a language teacher, you have to direct even if it's a little or small group of, let's say, 4 or 5 people, much more. So it's not a similar seamless experience of having a conversation. Let's say they are at a higher level already, comparable to offline. You have to more direct and be strict and say, okay, A, B, C, now it's your turn, and can you say something, and sort of group teaching works, I guess, when you make a type of lecture style, which is maybe an organic chemistry. Depends on how much interaction you actually want in your classes, James. I would say if you are happy with the Sage on the Stage role and you put out your knowledge and the lesson out there and they just listen and follow, it works well, I think.
Has anyone had any experience doing things like webinars or other products or services they sell on their website besides just like tutoring, like besides the tutoring service itself, like selling videos or that sort of those sorts of products?
I think Andre is the right person to answer this, as he is much more in the publishing business or industry now.
Yeah, exactly. This is another point also why I would say going for your own domain is great, because you start something like, for example, I started offering German lessons to students one-on-one, and I started then experimenting a bit, creating language learning materials.
David,
I love David.
Could you just mute your microphone when you are not? Okay, I think I mute him for the moment. Should be okay.
I still hear him. Do we each have to mute him?
All right, so we can learn some languages also here.
No, I think I muted him now.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I was trying to say is that I started going more into offering language learning materials, and now this is what I do almost exclusively, meaning offering language learning materials, and well, it has become my primary income and works very well. There's a lot to say, of course, about the details. What kind of media are you offering? Where are you marketing this, and how, etc.
Yeah, I guess that also, like you said, that really helps when you have your own domain. It's certainly not something that you'd be able to do if you were on as much if you were on a learning platform. I guess that's
absolutely
where I was. Where I come from. I always wanted to have my own site. I always wanted to have my own blog where I kind of control everything. One of the troubles or one of the difficult things if you're on a site that is a platform, I guess, is that there's all these different people, all these other competing tutors, let's say, and they all have rankings and you have to worry about there's these things, factors beyond your control, like whether you get 5 stars for a given session or 2 stars or 3 stars, and you don't have a lot of control over what other people say about you. Whereas if you have your own blog, you can collect all these testimonials, and as time goes on, you have a lot more control over your own message as well.
Exactly, and you can grow sideways. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'll want to be a filmmaker, so I can use the traffic that I established there. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think George also has lately added some great even video testimonials of some of the classes he conducted.
I found that what made a huge difference for me to convert students to work with me was having a video on my blog that just was me talking about what I do. I found that before I had that, I found that I got like 1,000 visits or more than 1,500 visits, and no one was asking me for lessons, at least from that page, or I get very few questions. But I guess there's all these nonverbal cues which people pick up on. Within the first few seconds that they see a video of someone talking, they're like, oh, okay, I think I could work with this person, and I found that my contact rate went up a tremendous amount once I had a video on my tutoring page saying, 2 minutes, this is what I do. I don't know if that's helpful to anyone, but certainly made a big difference for me.
Definitely.
And testimonials.
great tip. Yeah.
Good feedback. Yeah.
Great tip.
Absolutely.
I have, and I've shortened up. I had well over 1,000 testimonials from all the classes that I've conducted online at WizIQ, and they're on my About tab on my page. But that does not equate, and we forget some of the most basic lessons that we've learned in almost every advertising or marketing class. That in the past, the written word communicated trust, communicated validity. And during my generation in the 50s and 60s, that changed to talking heads. That's where an automatic trust thing is created. And an awful lot of marketing gurus keep saying, all these testimonials. And I think that's only for people that are oriented to the written word, which there are still a significant segment of society is that way, both older people and young people who have been fully conditioned. The people that I'm looking for, and I think that we're looking for now in the online learning communities, are completely wired different, down to the actual neuron connections in their brain. And if we cannot latch on to, recognize, and accept and embrace those changes, we are going to be so anachronistic in almost everything we try to do, and we'll always be banging our heads up against their reality, which is different than ours. And there has to be compromise to be able to go forward. We cannot force them into the old molds.